there's a tricky thing happening right now where mortgage rates are a lot higher than they've ever been. People can't buy a new house because of that. They also can't leave their house. They can't sell their house. Where are they going to go? So now I'm living with this person that I just told I want to have a divorce. And instead of it, you know, all happening quickly, I get my place. Now I'm kind of like stuck. Have you seen that come up with clients? Like, what are your thoughts on this new dilemma?
That has been really the most interesting topic of the year, as well as the thing that's most different this year. I've been practicing for over 20 years, and this is the first time that I've really seen this, where people are really cemented in place. Generally, with a divorce, somebody moves out, they establish a new residence, whether they're renting or buying, and they have choices and can find something in the school system, and people just move on with their lives. But we're really having a different situation right now. So when people try to unspouse their house during their divorce, they're having a lot of difficulty doing that. Because of mortgage interest rates, a lot of times somebody can't afford to buy another residence, or they have to wait on that equity in the current home. So they have to sell their home to get the money to afford the next residence. And what we're seeing is that people are having to live together longer and wait for the divorce to be finalized, perhaps for the sale of the home. And if you've chosen the route of a high conflict contested divorce, you've now just made, a year or more of your life incredibly miserable, because the person you wanted to divorce is going to be in your home longer, or you're going to be tied together longer. So it used to be very common for us to say one party was going to refinance the mortgage within 6 months and get the other person's name off and get them their equity. And it was so easy to do. Those were the days, and they are gone. Because now the refinance would cause the mortgage payment to be so high that person can't keep the house. And so there's no way to get the equity out. And so people are staying tied together longer, jointly on this mortgage, living in the trust tree that the other person's going to pay it on time and not adversely affect their credit, and all of these different aspects for sometimes up to 3 to 5 years, because they're waiting on mortgage interest rates to drop. And we don't know if they will. I mean, the rates aren't as high as they were in the 90s, but they're certainly higher than we've seen in recent years. People aren't used to this. And so because they're not used to it, everybody's sort of freezing in place. People aren't selling houses, so there's no inventory. People aren't moving from houses because they can't afford to. Rentals are becoming very high and costly to be in, because now everybody needs a rental. And so it is just this perfect storm of financial, real estate, sort of all tied up together, that when people are really trying to move on and move away, they're finding they're not financially able.
Which is ironic, because all of those things are probably stressors on the marriage. So you would think, are people staying together more? Or are you seeing divorces go down in frequency right now?
I haven't seen it go down. It's remained rather steady for what I've seen, but I'm luckily I have seen that people are getting smarter. I think people are really getting educated about the different types of a divorce and who they're hiring and what that should cost them. And so one of the important things I always tell people is, when you meet with that divorce professional initially, discuss budget with them. I have been doing this over 20 years. I have never had a client come in and take the lead on saying, I need to get divorced and I can only afford for this divorce to cost XYZ. Nobody's ever said that to me. I'm asking them, how much can you afford to spend on that? Listening to what they're wanting to accomplish in the case. Is that within their budget? Is it realistic? How can we proceed and get this handled for their budget? Because it's just like anything else. It's just like when you're building a house, for example, and you want all the bells and whistles in your divorce. You want, all the things, and then they hand you the bill and you're like, I think we're going to, cut out that extra bathroom and, cut out some of these other things. It's just like anything else. Mm-hmm. And so it's really important to convey your goals and your budget for those goals, and to have the attorney tell you, is that reasonable? Is that something that we can accomplish for that budget? Because it's important to know that on the front end, as opposed to when you've gotten several bills from the attorney that you can't pay.
Yeah, especially I hear stories of people switching attorneys because they didn't like their attorneys, and you're not getting that money back from the first one. So now you're double paying, and you're saying asking the right questions, taking a minute to really have these uncomfortable conversations that are, you've never had before is going to save you thousands of dollars, especially in today's climate.
Exactly. I think it's very interesting to see because I see these clients who unfortunately just maybe went on Google or somehow hired one of these high conflict, high billing firms simply because they didn't know any better. And now they've lost a ton of money. They haven't moved their case at all down the road, and they're just stuck on this cycle, really caught up in this conflict that they really didn't want to begin with. I've mediated for parties who've said, we thought we had an uncontested divorce. We just hired this attorney to look this over, and they've blown it up. And so that's important to know on the front end. Research professionals, ask the right questions, know that you get to choose how you want to get divorced. Absolutely. Anywhere you are in the United States, Canada, or the United Kingdom, you can choose the divorce process that you want. You are not stuck with the court-only process.
Tracy, this was full of gold. Let people know where they can connect with you and learn more about the Amicable Divorce Network.
Sure, you can always look at amicableddivorcenetwork.com or divorceamicably.com. And if you want to reach out to me directly, you can at info@amicableddivorcenetwork.com. We have our member directory on both websites. So if you're looking for a professional near you, you can go there and search for them. And if you're just not finding anybody, you can always email us and we'll try to connect you with a good person in your area.
Thank you so much, Tracy. This was great.
Thanks, Rob.